that wasn't at all racist, that was just accurate. So, Donald Harris is not black, never was. I actually, like many Jamaicans,
LadyC is brilliant.
Many other people generally, take the view that the Jim Crow application of anybody with even a drop of Negro blood, as it used to be called, is black, is ludicrous. The Duke of Westminster has a black ancestor. Is he black? I mean, ridiculous. The future Duke of Abercorn. I mean, the Marquis of Milford Haven, he has a black ancestor. He's the head of the Mountbatten family. Is he black? Ludicrous. It's really racist, I think, to say that somebody who is partially one thing and partially another is fully one thing and the other thing is ignored.
When it suits the agenda.
According to my interpretation of what has happened, and I just cursorily looked into it, but I can see the confusion. Two women, similar names, one dies, the other he marries when the child is 6 years old. That right there.
I should say it's a reaction video.
Something slightly
From Sasha.
off.
Sasha, what do you think of LadyC? She's very interested too.
And I think
She's listening.
the confusion of where the grandmother is concerned is interesting because it's according to what I have been told. Her maternal grandmother is of no significance in terms of her heritage. It is her paternal grandmother who was born Christiana Brown. And right there, that tells you, I have to tell you, that she was definitely not out of the Jamaican top drawer. And me, if I'm sounding snobbish, I can't help it. And you have to be accurate. Christina, yes, but Christiana is a town in Jamaica. No Jamaican of any significance would have been calling their child Christiana. So right there, that tells you something. But she told Harris that she was descended from the Irish-born plantation owner Hamilton Brown, who was born in Ireland in 1776, and died in Jamaica in 1843. And he built the Anglican church where she is buried. He owned over 1,200 slaves. He owned several sugar plantations in St. Anne, which is one of the parishes by the north coast. And he imported several hundred indentured servants from Ireland with their families to Jamaica between 1835 and 1840.
Slavery in a different name.
It's interesting because there are older Irish Jamaican families. The Burkes are one, because my grandmother was a Burke, and they arrived as slaves under Oliver Cromwell. But this new lot were indentured servants. And I have to say, I cannot think of any of them whose descendants I grew up with. Maybe everybody was thinking it quite, and they certainly wouldn't have been proud of it. And the reason why they needed indentured servants was that with slavery abolished, 1834, and there was a 4-year transitional period.
Lady C's great on history.
Other people to work as slaves, who were slaves in all but name, because they were indentured servants, which meant that they worked for a set period, and they were like Russian serfs. They were, for that duration, they had surrendered their freedom, and then they were free at the end of their indenture, who were also
if
brought
they
to
survived
Jamaica as indentured servants around that time, and a little bit later than that time, were Indians. I remember my Aunt Marjorie had an Indian gardener called James, and everybody called him Coolie Babu. That was just very few people called him James. Everybody, his friends, etc., they called him Coolie Babu. He was of the servant class. So what we're speaking about here is people who, if they weren't of the servant class, they were a cut above the servant class, but they were not of the bourgeoisie, and they were not of the upper class. And his grandmother, Kamala's father's grandmother, would have been very proud of the fact that one of her ancestors was a white slave owner, because that was the ethos and those were the values of the time. So I hope that sort of touches upon it. If you want, I can delve into it.
basically saying having a white slave was more prestigious than having a black
this whole
slave.
situation is really
But they called them
very
indentured
simple.
servants.
He was a bright man, and he evidently was very bright. And he's become, I think he was a professor at Stanford University, economics professor at Stanford University. And he has advised various Jamaican governments economically. And they're trying to now give him credit for Jamaica's present success. It's ridiculous. He was very Marxist in his thinking, and he was covered in glory under the Michael Manley regime and other PNP regimes, which ran Jamaica's economy into the ground. It's the JLP that had Jamaica's economy for the first 10 years of independence, where Jamaica was one of the fastest growing economies on earth.
Destroyed by Marxism.
Michael Manley once he got into power. And Donald Jasper Harris is a somewhat Marxist economist, I am advised. And he has certain views that I'm afraid he's not covered in glory as a thinker in terms of being an economist who would, I'm trying to choose my words carefully.
Frightening to think if Kamala becomes president, she'd take advice from her father, who's a Marxist, on how to run the American economy. That's what I hear.
Greater economic freedom and prosperity, to the extent that they would like us to now believe he did. He didn't. But he was bright. He
Stanford
married
professor.
an Indian. And I'm going to tell you, in Jamaica, in his generation and my generation, the Indian community looked down upon the black and the brown community. Brown as in people of African descent who were mixed race. The Indians looked down on them. So I can well understand why Kamala, with all of this background and with the knowledge that the racial situation when she was growing up meant that she should be Indian in much the same way that Meghan should be white. And Meghan denied her that she was black. And I don't actually think that Meghan was black. I think she was of colour, as they would say now, although I don't know why the adjective coloured is not equally acceptable, because of colour is simply the genitive of the noun, and the two words mean exactly the same thing. They're simply different. One is a noun and the other is one is an adjective and the other is the genitive of a noun. So, I mean, the hair splitting that goes on is just ridiculous.
Facts.
Especially when the things mean the same. But she has done what Meghan has done. She's understood that it is now desirable for her to be a woman, a black woman. Well, she's not black. She never was black. Her father was brown, and her mother is of a totally different ethnic origin, admittedly brown-skinned. So she's at best brown. She's certainly not black. That's my take on it. And she's playing it, hoping that it is going to play well for her with the black community in the United States of America. Good luck to her, is all I can say. Good luck to her.
Keep listening to Candace. She's digging up facts on this situation and revealing the truth.
That maybe
Kamala isn't black.
You don't change a race in midstream. I mean, you might change a horse, even though you're not supposed to. They say never change a horse in midstream. But to change a race so publicly.
To fit the agenda.
Was she promoted as the first Indian American? Now she's going to be the first black woman. I mean, whatever next? Martian? Janet? M.W.
I guess you could pick your race just like you could pick your gender nowadays.
I'm not sure if I could have asked this question elsewhere. Philip Schofield is going to be back on TV. It beggars belief.
So that concludes this portion of Lady C's insights on the Kamala Harris race debate. And I'm going to continue following this investigation that Candace Owen is also delving into. But I have a lot of respect for Lady C on this and many other subjects. So I'll continue to include snippets of her, insides, as a Jamaican lady, for one thing, and also a member of, the aristocracy of, the United Kingdom, and having her Castle Goring, I guess, is in England, I believe, and so she's very close to the royal circles and shares a lot of insights that reveal truth to us that we might not otherwise hear on the mainstream media. And so I highly encourage you to check out her channel, Chatting with Lady C, and subscribe to it because you can get it firsthand. Now, her videos are usually very, detailed, in-depth, insights on many different topics, including Harry and Meghan and things that are relevant to society, and particularly people who are royal watchers find her very interesting. She wrote the book about Harry and Meghan, The Real Story, and many other books over her career. Also, or was it Diana, The Real Story? I forget, but she's written both. She's written both on Diana and Prince Harry and Meghan. So, like I said, feel free to go check out her channel. And thank you for listening to this channel. I hope you enjoyed the content. Please like and subscribe, as we're brand new and hoping to continue doing this. Thank you so much.